Town Board meeting for the Town of Ossining for February 10th, 2015. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Harder,
Present.
Councilman Wilshire,
Present.
and Supervisor Donnelly.
Present.
We have this evening a public hearing in the matter of local law number 1, changes to the town ethics code. Mr. Spector, do you want to comment on it at all?
Previously commenced public hearing, and the only reason why we held it open was because of we had to change the date because of the weather event, I believe. So when we started the process, before we went over the changes have been up on the board. It's been in the works for some time at numerous publicly aired meetings, discussions with the committee that has been in charge of revising the ethics code, modernizing it, increasing the number of members, clarifying the duties and the obligations of the ethics board members, improving the procedures before the board, just to modernize it and bring it up to the recommended level that it should be at today, based on the recommendations at the state level, etc. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Sir.
Is there anyone who's come to address the board on this issue? Not seeing any. May I have a motion to close this public hearing? Oh, please come to the podium and give your name and your residential address.
My name's Howard Fleischer, and I live at 22 Tabano Road in Ossining. I'm just asking, is there a specific statement or a form that the public officials, as well as contractors or other people who are associated with the town, that states their possible conflict of interest as it may relate to any projects that are being bid on or worked on specifically? And if there isn't,
I mean, I know that we have had one in bid documents that we put out, the statement of non-collusion. Is that accurate? That's
But that's for
what I can try and-
contractors. Yeah,
Right.
contractor,
For something, for a big project or something.
I'm speaking specifically.
Right.
Okay, and then what about, for example, planning board members or planning board consultants, specifically if there's an engineer or somebody who's related to the review of planning board filings? Is there a statement, a written statement of a disclosure of conflict of interest?
Board members are required, obviously, to act within the. It's not just the town law; it's state law as well. Any member of any board who has such a conflict, or who may have some economic interest in a particular issue or project, is required by law to disclose that.
Okay, and in the case of, let's say, somebody who might be in a point of making decisions or influencing or making recommendations to the planning board, is there anything specifically that they need to file as far as conflict of interest if they might be living in one of the houses, or that maybe a particular contractor might own, or a housing project that he might have done, and one of those individuals might be living in that house? What I'm saying is that if you're tied somehow financially to a particular situation where you can influence a decision, do you need to disclose that you're paying rent or enjoying the benefit of a particular individual's project? You know what I'm saying?
I kind of understand what you're saying, but you're really going in a lot of different directions, because I think, you're talking about, a situation where I think what you're describing is a situation where you're potentially accusing somebody of accepting, in essence, a bribe. And I think that's...
No accusation. For example, let's just hypothetically, If
If you're talking about like an economic relationship of some sort, look, board members, they can't vote on any situation where they potentially have, in a particular situation where they potentially have an economic interest in that particular situation, such as if they own stock in a particular company and that company is bidding on a project. Of course, they have to divulge that. That's by law. If you're talking about a situation where they have an interest in property that's before the board, they certainly have to recuse themselves anytime a situation comes up like that. Other situations that are more nebulous, I'm not quite sure. I mean, if you're talking about somebody accepting a payment or some other benefit from somebody, I mean.
No, I'll give you a more specific example. Two examples. If I'm a consulting engineer and I work with a number of different contractors, do I need to disclose if I have done work for one of those contractors who may be filing for a particular project or otherwise? That's one example.
All right, so I'm clear, because I don't want to mislead you. I want to make sure I understand these examples that you're giving. An engineer who has worked for a contractor, has done work for a contractor?
Has done work for a contractor or maybe doing work for
these are determined on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah,
Not every situation is going to turn into an ethics violation. It really turns on whether or not there's an economic benefit to be derived through either a decision-making process. A consultant does not necessarily have to, because a consultant is obviously in a situation where they're paid to give an expert opinion on something, and that's what they're doing. I mean, the fact, if they felt obviously that they have a conflict of interest in a situation, yes, they would be obligated to divulge that particular conflict of interest. But whether a conflict of interest exists will depend on a case-by-case basis. Not every situation where you've done work for a particular client at some point is going to turn into a conflict of interest situation. In before another matter. It's the same thing with attorneys. It really depends on the situation.
Part of what we're doing, maybe this will help you too, part of what we're doing is we are expanding the ethics code, and this is the public hearing for that. It's really about the ethics code, which is going to allow residents as well as other elected officials and stuff actually put in for an ethics opinion. So if you have a case that you're speaking hypothetically about now, then when this is all put together, you can certainly submit it and get an ethics opinion from the ethics board. We're expanding it to 5 members, so that we don't have, and the attorney, the town attorney, which is Mark Reisman, he's the will be the liaison to the ethics board and not a member of the board. So that might help you a little bit. If you have questions, it will help the public ask those questions. That's one of the biggest reasons we're doing this. So.
Okay, so in the guidelines, then it's clear that if I'm a tenant, let's just say, of a renting from an apartment owner, and that owner is filing for, let's say, a project, and now I'm a tenant of that landlord, would I need to recuse myself from maybe making any decisions that might be something that person's filed? Just a hypothetical. Again,
hypotheticals, I could tell you from a legal standpoint, hypotheticals are very difficult to answer, and they're loaded questions, and they're leading questions, because anybody can make up a hypothetical question and try to guide it towards an answer. But the simple answer is this: that if you accept an economic benefit, and that's always a question, are you accepting an economic benefit in order to try to, in exchange for trying to to influence something, then that's a matter that perhaps potentially is a criminal matter. If you have an economic interest in a particular project, then you absolutely have a responsibility to recuse yourself. You're talking about these other natures, other types of relationships that may exist, whether a person's paying fair market rent for a property, just because they're doing that doesn't make them necessarily, accept an economic benefit, and doesn't mean that they're under the influence of anybody financially or any other way. So, these hypotheticals, are obviously intended, they're not simply hypotheticals. I just want to make sure we understand that, and I think that it's irresponsible to say without knowing all the facts whether a situation is or is not, does not rise to the level of a potential, ethics violation or criminal violation. I don't know, and I think that by answering these hypotheticals that you're posing, you're trying to look for a stock answer for something that you can't.
No,
It's
I
just
think
impossible to do that.
What I'm addressing is, I think, the expansion of what the board is looking to do here, which I think is great and wonderful, because I think there's a lot of gray areas, and being able to make them black and white is admirable.
Case by case, of course.
Case
you
by
know.
case,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I just was curious to know if there was a specific document that any particular person needs to fill out that addresses conflict of interest, or whether it's just something that somebody has to bring a case or an issue up, and then it gets looked into.
And again, I just want to remind you that there's two different things. You can ask for an opinion, or you can bring up an ethics charge. So when we get to that point, if you have something outside of your hypotheticals, then we'll have you submit it. You'll be more than welcome to submit it at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else? Might I then have a motion to close this public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing?
For a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have a second public hearing this evening in the matter of local law number 2, which is the salary of the elected highway superintendent. Is there anyone who's come to address the board? Not seeing any, may I have a motion to close this public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do we have any announcements this evening?
We do. As we enter into the second month of 2015, we seem to be hit our snowy winter season. For the past 3 weeks, we've had storms that have affected our Monday and or Tuesday business. For example, we have not had court for 3 weeks, nor will we have court next Monday because it is an official holiday, President's Day. Please call the court at 762-8562 if you had a hearing scheduled and are unsure of your new court date. Our hope is that we can move out of this weather pattern so that soon, so we can all get back to our routines, and more importantly, let our parks and highway DPW guys get some rest. This community has so much to be proud of, from an outstanding women's basketball team to our Intel scholars to planning environmental celebrations like Earth Day, April 18th, and Stash the Trash, May 9th, organizing town school projects such as the mural painting on the Comfort Station at Lewis Angle Park, to welcome those on the Hudson to this great community, to name a few. We are looking forward to the rededication of the new and permanent sign of the Brian J. Johnson Memorial Boat Ramp as soon as it warms up and the snow melts and the ramps can go back in. So much preparation takes place during the winter season that excitement continues to build throughout our community for the warmer months. If being a part of the action here in Ossining interests you, please let us know and we will direct you to the right person or group that shares your interest. Volunteering and supporting creative and unique opportunities is what our community is, a place where people want to come and live and play. The responsibility of this board and all elected officials is to work for your best interest, to provide outstanding services and opportunities while representing all taxpayers, and that we must continue to work efficiently to meet that objective. Our responsibility is to keep the residents and taxpayers informed as we look at different projects and opportunities. It is essential that we do our due diligence on each item that we have in front of us. So at times it may seem that we are not watching the clock. I assure you we are. One such example has been the homestead tax option that we were able to consider during the reassessment process. As all of us get educated on this, it gets more and more complicated all the time. For one, the tax shift. We must know about the tax shift from the commercial to the residential class. We feel that we have reduced any shift that may result from the reassessment because we have a great deal of settled commercial grievances over the past 4 years. Many condo owners are on fixed income. The impact on property values and sales of both condos and single and to three-family homes, and the internal services paid by condo owners, and how the village elected officials and the school board might consider the homestead option. We will see how the boards feel about homestead. We already know that the county will not consider this option since the reassessment is not county-wide. Again, if the town says no to homestead, that will end the process and no other board will weigh in. This would not affect county taxes paid by condos. They would continue to be valued on the income approach for the purposes of calculating the county taxes. Which would bring us to our next item, multiple assessment rolls, which would burden the assessor's office. The amount of extra work for the assessor's office and the assessment roll due to multiple values of the condos. The need to and businesses. The need to manage at least 2 different tax levels, commercial and residential, while being fair and equitable to all. While this board would be fair and equitable with the tax levels, we cannot know what future boards would do. There are cases out there where town and city boards took the homestead option, but because of political pressures, raised the tax level of the commercial properties, forcing businesses to leave their community. Business community impacts, we must protect and grow our commercial base. Ultimately, we must, as a board, look at what is best for the residents and commercial property owners of the entire town of Ossining. Everyone in this project is spending a great deal of time researching case studies, crunching numbers, and doing our due diligence. Our commitment to you is to keep you in the loop about what we learn and where we are in the process of deciding how to proceed. If you do not get the supervisor's updates and choose not to, all of the information could be found on the Town of Ossining's webpage, where you can browse it at your own pace. We have set goals for 2015, and we are hard at work at these objectives, as well as the day-to-day operations of town government. The goals for 2015 complete and the work of changing the size and increasing the authority of our Board of Ethics. This work is in progress. Tonight we will complete the public hearing stage, as we just did, and continue to grow the confidence of many of you already have in our board, administration, employees, and committee members. If you are interested in serving on the Board of Ethics, please watch for the position posting on the town webpage. Restructure of the planning board with new leadership and increased transparency. Another work in progress with nothing but compliments for our new chair and member. Again, we thank those who served on the board for a long while, as well as those who are no longer on the planning board for your contributions. Complete the review and update the town comprehensive plan. Phase 1 of the review is done. We will have public hearings and look at all the new sections of the document as it being updated in accordance with findings of these discussions. We will have public hearings on the document to begin the in-the-trenches work of looking at some sections of our codes, such as wetlands and steep slopes, just as 2 examples. Work with the committee and the planning board to initiate the Board of Architectural Review as part of the planning process. With some great volunteers with backgrounds in architecture and construction, we will begin to research and develop guidelines of this very important part of the planning process. Develop a schedule for infrastructure improvements such as road repaving and curb replacement repair throughout the unincorporated area. We have had our first engineering and so much more team meeting, and will begin to hold more regular meetings once the weather starts to cooperate and frees up the time of our engineering team. A coalition of the villages of Town and Briarcliff Manor to implement a program to provide solar power at a reduced rate for commercial and residential property owners in the entire town of Ossining. The Ossining Public Library hosted us for a fantastic kickoff meeting on Thursday, January 29th, and we had lots of folks sign up for to investigate the options of their home or commercial. If you want any more information, go to www.solarizewestchester.com/solarize-ostening-briarcliff. Negotiate a fair and equitable contract with the Teamsters for 2016 to 2019. And we are scheduled to start this process in late spring, early summer. Investigate grants for every department as well as outside not-for-profit and safety net organization, ensuring that Ossining gets its fair share of monies through all sorts and types of resources. We are in the process of applying for grants that are a variety of projects, which also include Ossining's police needs as we search for grants through this software. Some not-for-profits have taken advantage of this offer to search and apply for grants using the software. Please call Christina, third floor Christina, at 762-6001 if your safety net organization or not-for-profit would like to see what is available in terms of grant funding that could help you serve residents. Another goal is implement next steps in our biometric time clocks by controlling employee attendance, ensuring that all employees are treated fairly and those taxpayer dollars are used efficiently. We have begun the process of implementing the next step. Watch for details in a future report. Just a couple of important dates to remember. Monday, February 16th, which is President's Day, the town offices will be closed in observance. With many of your children off for winter break, we hope the weather behaves itself and gives us snow in the ski country, warm weather where it's supposed to be, and a slow melt without any residue snow we have. The National Salute to Veterans is this week, and we encourage people to visit the home care facility in Montrose and learn about volunteer opportunities. We want to thank our vets and all the people up there, and they certainly do need your help. Our next town hall meeting will be held March 3rd at the Ossining Library. We will be discussing disaster preparedness. The American Red Cross has partnered with New York State to bring information series to you and your community to increase awareness about how to prepare and respond when disaster strikes. Reduce your stress and uncertainty by learning preparedness strategies for you and your households. Unincorporated area resident Ellen Kahan will be our presenter. I will speak to these items on the agenda as they come up or as needed. Anybody else?
That was excellent, but I would like to add, if you don't mind, a couple of points,
Okay.
Madam Supervisor.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to say I am the proud parent of a third grader who is performing tonight in the brand new 700-seat high school auditorium at Ossining High School, and the Claremont Orchestra, Band, and Chorus are still playing right now. But I did get to see my son perform. But I just wanted to say the school music program is tops, and there were some announcements at the beginning that yet again put the community of Ossining at the top of national lists, and I can't repeat exactly what was said, but clearly Ossining is just teeming with talent, and even the third and fourth graders at Claremont School are already showing signs of real greatness. So I just wanted to say, and what I really wanted to say was about our community is that every single seat in that brand new auditorium was filled, every single seat, and the balcony. So the parents care, the kids care. So it was a really wonderful evening. But I also wanted to add, Madam Supervisor, to your point about the Homestead Act. I don't think we can emphasize enough how this matter is extremely important to this board, and how we are listening. We just ask that the residents understand that we have input from a large number of interested parties, and I just wanted to say that to the condo owners who appeared at the last town hall meeting, we hear you. We hear your concerns, and we're very interested in hearing more from you. So thank you for your input, and please continue to share with us your questions and your concerns, because this is a process. We're also, as Madam Supervisor said, we're also hearing from our commercial properties and also single-family residences. But we also are hearing from our experts in the field, our assessor, Fernando Gonzalez, and Tyler Technologies, which is doing the revaluation. And they're, these are very trained, highly competent experts that we rely on to give us information. We were, as you also said, and I'm sorry to repeat a little bit, but there's a great deal of written literature out there that we're reading, websites, case studies, reports, a lot of input, a lot of information, and of course, the schools and the villages you mentioned are also involved. So we'll be collaborating with them, and we have our fellow board members. We have varying opinions, different thoughts, different ideas, and this is a hot topic, and we're sharing with each other our opinions and our findings on a on an individual basis, and it's a collaboration. This is a project, and I couldn't emphasize more that we are listening, and your input is extremely important to us, and we care. So thank you very much for your patience. Thank you very much for your understanding, and I couldn't give you a more sincere assurance that we are doing the best that we can to make the right decision for the entire community, and but this is so far down the line. But this is the preparation. This is the advance. This is the information gathering period, and we're doing our best to accumulate and learn. So thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Okay, we will move on to public comments on agenda items. Does anyone like to address the board on the agenda items?
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Wendy Masserman, and my husband Bruce and I have lived at 10 Morningside Court in the town of Ossining for 33 years. I came tonight to speak to the board regarding the choice of town planning consultant Frederick P. Clark Associates. In my opinion, the consultant from Frederick P. Clark, who has been working with the town, David Stolman, president of the company, has not been helping in the planning board in its mission to protect the town. Stolman's and the board's missteps, especially regarding the proposed Highview Farm project, have alarmed the public and resulted in the formation of the concerned citizens of Ossining. The so-called Highview Farm is a pending subdivision on 31.57 acres of highly sensitive land nestled between Tavano Road, Morningside Court, and Ryder Park. The property includes approximately 6 acres of wetlands, many steep slopes, and among the best upland habitat for plants and animals remaining in the town of Ossining. Although the review is still in an early phase, a number of decisions by Stolman and the board have already damaged the town's ability to protect the site and the public interest. During each of these decisions, the board has relied heavily on its planning consultant, who has consistently let them down and the public. Let them and the public down. The first of these decisions was the number of lots that would be available to the developer in a conventional subdivision, given the environmental constraints of the site. This would control the maximum number of lots available in the cluster plan it favored. The law requires the board to limit the number of lots to a conventional subdivision, which could be permitted in conformance with all applicable regulations, including environmental constraints. But Mr. Stolman failed to seriously apply the law as just one example. The Environmental Advisory Committee, EAC, pointed out at the April 10, 2014 Planning Board meeting that the slope behind 12 Morningside Court is 40 feet, the highest point in the town of Ossining. The conventional sketch plan showed a road cut into the slope at 10 feet. The current cluster plan shows the same road and 5 houses at the base of the slope. The Town Code, Section 167B1, makes it clear that once a steep slope is disturbed, that disturbance is, for all practical purposes, irreversible. The damage to the town was clearly demonstrated September 19, 2013, when the Environmental Advisory Committee, EAC, issued its initial comments on the project. The EAC found that the project is likely to damage wetlands, worsen flooding, damage steep slopes, and block a valuable open space corridor. They concluded, I quote, "In summary, it is hard to imagine that the costs and impact from this development will not significantly adversely impact open space, water quality, and flooding, the cost of which will very likely exceed any benefits that the town could expect from the subdivision." Yet, Mr. Stolman has not sought to reconsider the 24 lot count in light of these findings, except to recommend that it be increased. In its cluster plan, the developer doubled down on cramming too many homes into this fragile site by demanding a 4-lot bonus for affordable housing. Despite the fact that such bonuses are not meant to apply to environmental determinations, Mr. Stolman has recommended that the developer move forward with studies for a 28-unit project. Mr. Stolman issued a memorandum at the January 28, 2015 Planning Board meeting advising that the board take the next step in issuing a positive declaration that there will be negative impact on the environment, so that the applicant can prepare a draft environmental impact statement, despite the inaccuracies in the new environmental assessment form as reported by the EAC in its latest memorandum to the board. Mr. Stolman's apparent lack of respect for the public is almost as frustrating as his determinations against the local environment. In April 2014, Supervisor Donnelly saw the increase in opposition from the residents and called a meeting to clarify the planning board responsibilities and how the SECRA, State Environmental Quality Review Act, process works. When asked about protecting the wetlands, Mr. Stolman responded that the wetlands are not sacred. Many members of our group were shocked and outraged and commented to me after the meeting. "We know nothing is sacred, but we expect our town planning consultant to take into consideration the impact on the town's residents and the environment." Unfortunately, this is not an isolated example. I've received many complaints that Mr. Stolman has responded condescendingly, arrogantly, and rudely to residents' concerns. Mr. Stolman's approach is clear and is a growing problem for the town. Over the past 2 years in many meetings, I have felt that the town codes have been used to the benefit of the developer and not the town and its residents. I want to thank the town board for recognizing the need for change in its recent appointments to the planning board as openings became available. It would seem that the natural progression would now be to reconsider automatic renewal of our Frederick P. Clark Associates contract. Mr. Stolman has been the town consultant for 37 years. It seems that his vision may not be in line with the needs of the community. For the good of the town, isn't it time for a change? I did not become aware of this meeting until a few days ago. As a result, many members of our group were unavailable for this evening. I respectfully ask that this decision be tabled until other residents can speak to the issue. Thank you.
May I have your written statement, please?
It's kind of marked up.
Here, all right. Thank you. Do we have anyone else who'd like to address any of the resolutions? Okay.
Howard Fleischer, 22 Tamano Road. I'd like to address the same issue and ask that the board consider deferring a decision on the reappointment of Mr. Stolman as the consultant. And I'd like to cite one other situation that had occurred that sort of shows somehow a point of where Mr. Stolman has assumed a certain level of authority without consulting or even thinking to consult the EAC in a project that actually many residents also are quite upset about. And that is the Briar Commons project, which is on 558 North State Road. When this project was approved, there was no consideration or consultation with the EAC, by which the EAC, when they found out about the approval of this project, were quite upset about. Part of that meeting, there was a meeting that was held amongst various different parties, including the EAC, the planning board, the supervisor at a particular meeting. I can't cite the date. But it was then realized that there was no plan for a buffer zone shielding the new project from the existing residences that were surrounding this new project. There was no consideration given to keeping old trees that were in place, and Mr. Zappi of Zappico was permitted with this project to basically take down all the trees that blocked the sites, provided a buffer between the community that was existing and this new project. And it was something that just showed that there was something missing there. And maybe having a job where your advice and your comments are taken as maybe an expert opinion and taken as fact. But I think that we've come to a new era in Ossining, and I think that the board, the supervisor, I think the community has really started to taking a increased focus on what's going on around us. We're not just letting things happen without inputting our feelings and opinions. And I think that that's part of the reason why there's been a groundswell of members of the concerned citizens of Ossining, and a renewed look at what's going on with our environment, what's going on with the decisions that are impacting the quality of our life. And I think that Mr. Stillman is a exalted, great man, and I have nothing bad to say about him. I just think that some of the decisions that either were made or not made in the name of the planning board and our town were not necessarily the right decisions for us. And so I'd like to understand a little bit more about the review process of hiring the consultant or another consultant, whether there's competing bids. I'd like to know if there is a chance for other people to submit their application to become potentially a consultant. And I think that a review of a number of the existing consultants and well-established people that have been working with the community for so long should not feel just comfortable that just because they've been here that long that they will, get the renewal of the contract. And I think it's good to put a light on and sort of open up everything in the light of day so that the community can see change and keep on growing towards a common goal of a great place to live here in Ossining.
Thank you. Thank you both.
On to, excuse me, adoption of resolutions. Resolved, the town board of the town of Ossining hereby approves the January 28th, 2015 minutes of the regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated February 10th, 2015 in the amount of $33,365.74 for 2014 and $181,170.22 for 2015, with a grand total of $214,535.96. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved, the town board of the town of Ossining hereby calls for a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, February 24th, 2015, at 7:30 p.m. in the police court facility, 8688 Spring Street in Ossining, the matter of the 2015 cabaret license for Maya Riviera, 518 North State Road, Briarcliff Manor, New York. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Austin authorizes establishment of capital project 2014-2190 entitled Spray Park Recirculation with a project budget of $20,000 for Phase 1 and 2 of engineering to be funded by transfer of in lieu of Parklands Fund. Increase 037-7110, 2190, $20,000 Spray Park Recirculation expense. Increase 037-57-5733, 0190, $20,000 transfer from special purpose revenue. Increase 034-9901, 0906, 0037, $20,000 transferred to capital, which is an expense, and we're going to increase 034, 4795, 0037, $20,000 in lieu of Parkland Fund balance revenue. Do I have a motion?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Austin authorizes establishment of capital project 2015-2191 entitled 2015 JCAP grant with a project budget of $6,059.98 funded by New York State grant funds. Increase 037 1110 2191 $6,059.98. 2015 JCAP grant expense. Increase 037 0037 3089 0191 $6,059.98. 2015 state aid. 2015-16 JCAP grant revenue. Do I have a motion?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
May I make a comment just very quickly? Sorry. I just wanted to let everybody know that Ann Malone, who's one of our court clerks, really takes it upon herself to do a lot of hard work for us to get this grant every single year. And it's because of her that we've been able to get a lot of projects done in the town court. And so I just want to thank her on behalf of the town because we're spending a lot less money than we otherwise would have had to.
Very good. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Austin authorizes establishment of capital project 2015-2192 entitled Highway Department LED lighting with a project budget of $25,000 to be funded by a transfer from Highway Fund balance. Increase 037-5110 2192 $25,000 Highway Department LED lighting expense. Increase 037 0037 5031 0192 $25,000 transfer from Highway Fund revenue. Increase 031 9901 0906 $25,000 transfer to Capital Fund expense, and increase 031 0031 4795 $25,000 fund balance highway revenue. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I want to talk a little bit about the planning consultants before we move forward. We have made some significant changes in the planning board this particular year with the retirement of its chair, and when we did the interview process for the two members that were up for their schedule to be up, everybody rotates their schedule. We decided to select a second architect to be on the board. I would say that while we listen to the concerns and everything, I think that in this very stressful time of some projects that we have out there, I think that it is the planning board that makes the decisions as to what to do. And while I understand your concerns and everything, that I'm not sure if this is the exact time to change consultants and bring everybody up to speed on something that we need to have some direction on. So I leave it to my board members, but we will proceed with that resolution.
Resolved that the firm of Frederick P. Clark Associates is hereby retained as planning consultant for the town of Ossining for calendar year 2015 in accordance with their contract letter and rates schedule dated January 30th, 2015, and authorizes the supervisor to sign a contract reflecting the same in accordance with approval of the town attorney.
I just want to make one more statement with that too. Because we start, because we start with a contract with someone, if should it be deemed that by the planning board, again, being a different body than this board, that they would like to see a change, I can see us working towards that. And if right now, and I know that Kim Jeffrey, who is not here with us tonight, had a statement that she wants read, but so why don't we read that before we decide what we're going to do with this?
So tiny. Excuse me if I squint and stutter. I would like to start by thanking Frederick P. Associates, and specifically David Stolman, for his 37 years of service to the community, the hard work and knowledge regarding procedures and process on development, and the various issues that come before the planning board. In the past 2 years, it has come to my attention that there is some disconnect and discontentment between the community and the direction of the planning board. We've recently had the opportunity to fill openings on the planning board with new people, and therefore fresh perspectives. Under those circumstances, it is an opportune time to continue those changes and bring a fresh voice in the consultant position to the planning board.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Madam Supervisor, thank you. I just wanted to add to your comments. I believe that there's always room to take a closer look at results of various advice and consulting practices, but I share your opinion, Madam Supervisor, that this is not necessarily a great time to change horses, for lack of a better word. I think David Stolman has a great deal of institutional knowledge that the current planning board members probably will draw upon significantly as they come up to speed on these very important matters. And I've worked with David on the comprehensive plan modifications or review, and I know that he's an extremely talented planner and consultant, and I know that he's done great work for the town. But if there are community members out there that have some opinions that warrant some further consideration, I think that's a great idea, and we should look closer. And I'm sure David would love the opportunity to respond to some of those concerns, but perhaps now is not the time to draw that to a head. But it's certainly something that I'd be interested in looking into, because I've heard your comments, and I'd be interested to hear more from David. But I'm in favor of retaining Frederick P. Clark and Associates going forward, with the caveat that I will certainly be interested in taking a closer look.
Anybody else?
I feel the same way.
I think that one of the things that we do have to look at is if we, as we did with as any change that we have done in the last 3.5 years, 3 years and 2 months, I should say, is that we really do look at it as a project and have people come together so that we can hear all sides of the stories. As everyone probably knows, this board does not interfere with the planning board on purpose, so that there's no influence. And so I think that moving forward, if we got a recommendation, I understand that I do get reports back on the planning board meetings, and I understand that we have a very vocal and a board that everyone participates in at this point. So I think that what we would do is look for recommendations from the chair and the board, the planning board, and if there's any changes to be made, do it in a process, but not when you have so many. In fact, of your 5-member board, 1 member has only been there 6 months, and 2 are brand new. So that's my last comment.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
In a minute.
We have no correspondence to be received and filed. Monthly reports resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining hereby accepts the following monthly reports for the month of January 2015 from the town clerk's office, the tax receiver's office, and the town supervisor's office. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That now brings us to visitor recognition.
Now you may speak.
Thank you for allowing me to speak one more time. I just was going to ask, is the contract up for renewal now, and was the decision to renew it imminent, or is there, I know that you've just decided to go forward, but my question is,
It's a year-by-year contract, so it's not like we're looking at a 5-year term or a 5-year contract and everything. So if you're going to if you're going to make changes and stuff, it takes a process. So as you said before yourself, you would want to look at what your options are and everything. So why don't we do that as a community?
yes.
And we'll certainly have it in work sessions and legislative sessions, and we may have a town hall meeting about it. So let's do it that way, and then we can keep this planning board. We're in the middle of a positive, what's it called?
With
Declaration.
positive declaration, right, and there'll be a scoping
Right.
session.
So I think you're going to. I think you already see, because most of our company here tonight and most of your company, your group, go to the meetings. So I think that you see already a difference in how the whole function is done. So let's look at those people. Let's give them their due, but let them have that institutional knowledge that they may need as a consultant. Okay.
I think that you are 100% correct, and I appreciate all the hard work that you all have done, and we can see it as a community where there's a lot more focus on, making a more comprehensive plan, taking into consideration the environment and taking into consideration, the various things that will improve our community. And I think that you have seen, I think, a greater participation of the community in these meetings, and I think it's all good to have a dialectic where people can voice their opinions, and really, I think maybe over the years there wasn't enough community participation, and therefore many things can happen without even people being aware how sensitive that other community members might be, and maybe it was just because people didn't press the fact that they wanted a buffer between a project and their homes, and I think that I'm very happy. For one, I mean, I was a quiet tenant. I mean, a quiet homeowner who enjoyed the community, and not until I started getting involved and seeing how receptive, although it may not always go the way that I would like it to go, but I certainly compliment and commend the board, the supervisor, and all the consultants for the great job that they're doing, and hope that we resolve to making things even better.
And thank you very much. And with the help of you and your group, we will move forward. And this is a long process, especially in that one development that Wendy,
Yeah, but it's not. We're not just here on that one development.
Don't
I think
worry.
that you'll see
I
that
know.
we're going to be involved in many developments or many other projects. But it's really just to get the community voice out there to say
It is,
hey,
and for us
don't
all
forget
to
about
work.
these things.
Oh no, and all of us to work together to continue to make this just a better community all around. So
This really is a new board.
We've seen it. I'm
the-
so
oh, no,
impressed, and
they've been-
I have to tell you, the board, the questions, and I think most importantly, what I've seen is where it's not people are not relying solely on the consultant saying, making a recommendation, and that the dialectic amongst the board members, the new board members, they are questioning, they're looking at alternatives, and it's for this reason that I'm very impressed, and thank you for the selection of the new board members. And I think, it's all for the good when there's things that are stirred up and people sort of, put a light on what's going on. Otherwise, things happen and then people complain, and if you didn't raise your voice, too bad.
And giving a bigger voice to the EAC, which, you brought up too, and was very, very important for this board, and we made sure that happened too. So let's just keep moving forward together, because I think we're doing a great job, but we still have a way to go.
Yeah, we do. But thank you. I really applaud you all for your
Thank you
work.
very much.
My question is, there's such a dedicated group of people, knowledgeable. The breadth of the work in which they've done in the review of this Highview Farm is phenomenal. And I'm feeling they're ignored. I really am feeling they're ignored. And I really need to know, where do they stand? What is their place?
They're an advisory group, and I have to tell you that of all the groups that we have, including our business development group, they're probably the least ignored. Number one, we can go to the EAC meetings, and we do that.
Yes.
We have a planning board liaison on the EAC. We now have a zoning board liaison on the EAC. So they're not being ignored at all. They're participating. They're putting their reports together. They'll become more, you'll see them more and more involved as we go to this next step, when we take the comprehensive plan, because all we did was tweak it, and now look at new wetlands and steep slopes, just as examples of policies and stuff. So
I mean, I'm sure you can understand my concern, because that 40-foot slope is also behind my home.
yes,
And it's and when I brought the who came out, the
engineer.
the
Oh,
building,
sorry.
John from
Oh,
the building.
the building
The
inspector.
building inspector. And Sandy and he came out together, and the first thing she said to me, she said, "That's not a hill, that's a mountain." It is huge. It is huge. And the EAC has clearly said, this is a mistake.
I
This
think
is a
you're going to
mistake.
see more cooperation and working
Well,
together.
I sincerely,
Because you already have.
I
mean,
sincerely hope so, because it means the destruction of probably two pieces of property if this slope collapses. And we've already seen a 15-foot slope collapse down the block.
okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So I want to thank you for coming and participating tonight, and I want to say that this conversation is far from over, but we will move forward, and we did good. We thought we would have a short meeting, and we did, an hour. So we're not moving into executive session tonight, but we want to make sure everybody enjoys the weekend. Please be safe on Thursday and Friday. We're going to get another snowstorm, and so please be safe. Drive carefully. And if you have any questions or anything, please let us know. Send it to sdonnelly@townofaustining.com. And we'll look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at our work session at 16 Croton Avenue at First Floor Boardroom. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.